Also, just in case you read my bio, I think it says that I am an attorney with the city of Miami, but I can make an announcement now. I am now the Associate Regional Counsel for the U.S. Department of HUD. So I'm excited about that new adventure. I have been a part of the 100 for several years, probably about 20, to be honest with you. And I can tell you firsthand that members of the 100, their sponsors, and their partners are committed to helping disenfranchised youth to set goals and then work hard to achieve them. I challenge each of you to join the 100 in your local city and find a way to support some of its programmatic initiatives. Our kids are worth the investment of your time, talents, and resources. At this point in time, I just would like to acknowledge the sponsors, because obviously we could not create this programming and have impact on the organization without the support of our sponsors. So at every opportunity, we at the 100 pause to thank you for your continuous support. This workshop is being sponsored by Credential Financial, and would the sponsor representative for Credential Financial please stand, and thank you. And I invite you to come forward and bring greetings on behalf of Credential.
Let me just say how pleased we are at Credential to be a sponsor of this event, and we just have been very privileged to be a part of it. We value and appreciate diversity, and it is our pleasure to do this. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to now introduce our moderator. Her name is Dr. Teresa Hairston of Gospel Today magazine. Dr. Teresa Hairston is the founder and publisher emeritus of Gospel Today magazine, which she started in 1989 as a 4-page newsletter. At the time, she was a divorced mother of 3 young children and was able to scrape together only $300 to invest in her dream of becoming a publisher. That's it. She had $300, 3 small children. This is my editorial. You could do the math. And no husband and a dream. Today, the oldest of those 3 children owns and operates Gospel Today.
Right.
Her dream has not only come true, but it has become a generational legacy.
Yes.
Along the way, Dr. Hairston has become a major force in the international gospel community. For 10 years, she was on-air host of the Gospel Today TV show, which aired weekly via DirecTV. She also hosted a nationally syndicated news and entertainment segment on radio entitled The Gospel Today Update. Hairston has interviewed everyone, launched her own record label, Gospel Today Entertainment, which released 2 nationally acclaimed CDs. Dr. Hairston is a minister of the gospel with an earned Doctor of Ministry degree. In 2010, she was ordained as an elder by Bishop Liston Page Sr. Her motto is, when God gives you a vision, He'll make the provision. Her favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. My goal in life, says Dr. Hairston, is to use everything that I've been through, everything that I am, and everything that I endeavor to do to glorify God and build His kingdom. I want to help people understand that they can achieve their God-inspired visions. Just step out on faith and watch God make the way. Dr. Hairston.
Good morning and thank you.
And before she begins, I omitted one sponsor, and I apologize, and that sponsor is UPS. And we thank you for your support. And Mr. Martinez, if you'd like to come forward and say
thank
something.
you. I don't want to break the rhythm, but it's an honor for UPS to be associated and work with the 100 for over 15 years. And this distinguished panel underlies the fact that behind every great man, there's an even greater woman. So with that, I turn it over.
Somebody said your wife what to say. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to stand for a minute and say thank you all for being here. This is going to be an impactful panel, a wonderful panel, and a fun panel. You're going to get some wonderful information this morning. And we want to start, we have some dynamic women, some powerful women in front of you this morning, but we're going to start a little bit differently. I was going to read their bios, but I was asked to give them about 30 seconds each to introduce themselves because we're a little short on time and we're going to have to abbreviate a couple things, but we want to get right into it. So the first thing I want you to do, panelists, is if you would start on my right, and I want you to introduce yourselves, but here's what I want to talk about, what you say after you introduce yourselves. Here's our opening statement. Many women say they want to be influential, but to whom much is given, much is required. What does being influential mean to you? So when you give your name and what your organization and all is, please tell us, what does being influential mean to you? Thank you. Letty?
And I have to go first. Good morning. My name is Letty Ashworth. I'm General Manager for Delta Airlines. Being influential, what that means to me is to be disciplined in my thought process. In doing so, my experience says that's what creates change for those around you.
I'm Carol Jenkins, and I wear several hats. Well, first of all, influence to me means setting an example, which we all know, we need role models, but to me, importantly, it means action. You can't just think it, you can't be it, you have to do it. And so when I look for influence, I look for people who are on the ground working, actually making a difference in people's lives, as well as serving as a role model for what they have accomplished in their own lives. I wrote a book about an uncle of mine, Black Titan A.G. Gaston, and the making of a Black American millionaire. And my daughter and I wrote it to show that example and that action of what you can do coming from a slave cabin to one of the most, one of the richest, but also influential in terms of action in America. And started the Women's Media Center because we know that there are many problems with African American women, and many of them stem from what the media tells us we should look like and be like or can't be. And so we put that into action. And lastly, I would say for the continent of Africa, we know that we have significant problems here on this continent, but I chose to work in Africa in the health sphere because the numbers and the stories and the orphans are so monumental, their problems, that I felt that that's where I should be engaged. Sorry if I took up more than.
Hi, good morning. My name is Teri McClure. I am the wife of a minister in a small town, Tyrone, Georgia. I'm the mother of two. I work as Senior Vice President and General Counsel for UPS. And for me, influence or being influential is really about recognizing your ability and responsibility to impact change, whether that's on an individual basis or within a community, within an organization. But it's understanding the need to impact and to facilitate change.
Well, good morning. I'm Gloria Reese. I'm with AT&T, and by title, I'm Vice President, Customer Information Services. So the first thing I want to say is if you have a device, leave it on. Just put it on vibrate. Unless it's a Verizon or Sprint device, and then turn those devices off. The second thing I'll say is, a couple of people asked me earlier, the accent. This is a North Carolina accent from Charlotte, North Carolina. And then the third for me, influential, I think, can be summed up. I have a little phrase and kind of a motto in my office. And it's one that's been my little life motto since I was about 15 years old. And it says, I cannot change the entire world, just my small part of it. And so to me, being influential is looking for how I can make a difference in the lives of individuals, because I cannot take on global change. That's too big. So influential is saying, what are the small parts of my world and AT&T's world that I can help change? It's great to be with you. Thank you.
I am an endangered species, but I sing no victim song. I am a woman, I am an artist, and I know where my voice belongs. My name is Sheryl Lee Ralph, and I love you in ways you will never completely understand. I tell you, I don't know why it happened. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how God ordered it this way. But my influence is in my voice, in my being. I have made choices my whole life that I felt would impact others. The reason you don't see me doing certain things is because I want you, each and every one of you, to be proud of me. I want you to feel like you can be in the room with me and know that it's okay. I want you to feel like you can turn on the TV with me and know that it's okay. I want you to know that if I show up in your church, it is okay, because that's what I do. So my influence has been my whole life, which I believe must be the influence of my parents. Because had it not been for those people, I would not be the person that I am still becoming. A lot of people call me the diva. Well, trust me. The diva stands for divinely inspired, victoriously anointed. That's diva. And in my book, I say we are redefining diva. Because nowadays, you swing a pocketbook, you knock a diva down. I say for all you divas, and it is an equal opportunity life. Man, you can be divinely inspired, victoriously alive, anointed, audacious too. I wrote that book to say, look, we can do better. God wants us to be better. And maybe you can learn something by the road that I've taken. And it may look fabulous, but it's had a few potholes. But it's how we survive those potholes. In 1990, I founded the DIVA Foundation, and we do much more than help broke down divas with their wig, weave, weapon, wardrobe problems. We are an AIDS foundation, and some of you know for the past 30 years, which is hard for me to imagine since I'm only 35 myself, that I founded that foundation to speak up and out loud against the threat that I thought a disease called AIDS held for the community. People told me I was crazy. They told me to shut up. They told me it had nothing to do with me. But some of you know that I have been consistent in saying we must pay attention to this disease. And now as we sit in this room, we all know somebody who has been either infected or affected, and still we remain silent, and the disease is now running rampant silently, and that is unacceptable. I write about that also in Redefining Diva, and it's been an incredible journey. I never thought that I really had influence until my husband embraced me. A young woman saw it, and she came up to me and she said, Miss Ralph, is love really important? Is it important for someone to look at me the way he looks at you? Sometimes we have influences in ways we never, ever even think of. But more and more, we've just got to try and do just a little bit better. That's me.
Okay, so you want me to follow?
Just a brief background. I'm Donna Richardson-Joyner, and I am one of the council members under President Obama. I served with President Bush for 2 years, and now I've been with President Obama on sports, fitness, and nutrition. I serve as the ambassador for First Lady's Let's Move initiative. I'm the author of Witness to Fitness and the creator of Body Gospel. I've been serving people for over 25 years. It is my purpose and passion. As a woman of influence, I have learned to decrease self-interest and increase God's interest. I'll say it again. Decrease self-interest and increase his interest and purpose. So I have a wonderful, wonderful job and career. I get to travel around the world and help people to have wholeness in their life, but also to live more meaningful and purposeful lives. So if you are as excited as I am to be here this morning, can you just say amen? Amen. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danita Patterson. I'm a creative visionary, a producer, writer, singer-songwriter. I have a production company, Destiny Unlimited, where we do family entertainment and TV, film, and new media. I also have an organization, Destiny Outreach, because to whom much is given, much is required. And God blessed me at an extremely young age to start in the media industry, in front of the camera and behind the camera. And when you know your destiny at a young age, you realize the decisions and choices that you can make in order to live your purpose at a different level. And so I believe that it was God's purpose for me to found Destiny Outreach to help teens 12 to 17, 18 to 25 to realize their ultimate potential in life, school, and work, and to expose them to careers in entertainment, technology, and business. And so I feel like influence is something, it's a social responsibility. When I formerly worked for Will Smith and on shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I had a social responsibility to influence people that I didn't know that this show would still be on internationally almost 15 years to 20 years later. So I believe that influence is it's a responsibility. You can be a compelling force. I choose to be a positive, inspiring, compelling force. I choose to be one who makes decisions that I know others are trusting me with who may not ever meet me. And so I take influence very seriously because it is humbling, because God trusts you with something and you trust us with something. And so I'm very grateful to have influence that I didn't give myself, but that was given to me. And so thank you.
Very good. Let's put our hands together for this family. As we go through our discussion today, we're going to, first of all, ask the panelists various questions, and I'm going to direct the panel, the questions to various panelists. But then at the end, you will have a chance to come to the microphone in the center and ask questions of the panel. But first, I want to direct some of these questions. The first question is, using only 5 adjectives, will you please tell us about a typical day in your life? And the first 3 people I would like to ask on the panel to respond to this is Teri, Donna, and then Gail. Teri?
That's a great question. I think the first adjective is long. Very long days. They're relentless, demanding, multifaceted, challenging, but exciting.
Very good. Donna?
5 adjectives.
5.
I would first say compassionate, because anytime you're a servant, I think you have to have a heart to be empathetic to others and to be compassionate about others, because that's how you get to help and serve others. I would also say I have to be flexible, because things are constantly changing, so I have to shift according to the situation, the setting, or the circumstances. I will also say that I would say caring, but I'm going to say caregiving. Because 8 years ago, I took care of my father-in-law. He had a lung disease, and they only gave him 3 to 6 months to live. But with love and care and family, he almost lived 4 more years. So I think he passed away right just before he turned 90. And now my dad lives with me. And my dad was just diagnosed with dementia. But through God's grace and his goodness, he's doing very well. And I really believe, people ask you, well, what is your greatest accomplishment? And I'd have to say my personal greatest accomplishment was being a caregiving person. So caregiving would be probably top at the list. Anything else? Inspirational, because I have to get people to think at a different mindset, because I'm asking people to change, and not everybody embraces change. Change is very challenging for most people, but I think if they can embrace a purposeful mind, a mind that says that anything is possible, and I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. So that, I think, describes the typical day for me.
Awesome. Gail?
Like you, Donna, I think I would start out with caregiving because I do have 2 children, 14 and 16 years old. So I wake up thinking about them, go to sleep thinking about them and what their needs are. So I would say that would be the first one. The second one is involved. I am involved in a multitude of organizations, and most have to do with my children. And I have time to do a few things for myself, but I would say very much involved. Driven, I'm very driven. When my vision is set and I have a goal to meet, I drive until I get there. Flexible, I have to be inflexible. There's always some type of, there's always something, and I have to be able to be flexible to meet the needs of the people that I'm caring about and the things that I do. And the last thing I want to say, I would say it's just ever moving. I'm always moving, always on the go. So I think that would be the 5.
Very good. Our second question is directed toward Letty and Sheryl. And the question is, does power and influence equal leadership? Does power and influence equal leadership? Letty?
That's a resounding no. I think everyone in here can attest to that. Interestingly enough, I was on a panel of young college students, women particularly, about 3 weeks ago. And a question from the audience came in the form of, when we get to the level where you are and others, what are companies like Delta and other companies going to do for us, the millennials, when we get to you? And I was probably a little bit more candid because I believe in the transparency and to ensure that they're getting the right message. I said, be careful about chasing a title. Focus on the sphere of influence, and the person with influence may be able to affect the change that you seek. Therefore, not only look vertically, but look horizontally.
Wow.
And in doing so, you will find those who are influential. Now, having said that, it does not mean that if you have power, you can't have influence, and vice versa. But just be careful as you are seeking someone to look up to as a mentor.
Very good.
Power and influence, leadership. You know, we were talking earlier about the power of the media. See that? You see that response a lot of you had? Because right about now, a lot of us know that the media has become incredibly powerful. And the influence it's having is not necessarily the best influence. And people are taking the lead of a lot of mad people. We were talking earlier about sometimes you turn on the TV and you can count the number of powerful, malicious images that are coming into your home. And you stated earlier that not only are they coming into your home, they're coming into your being. And by doing so, it is definitely having an influence on who we are, which is making it difficult for us to lead these new generation of young people who are looking at the madness thinking that that's the new normal. We are in a very, very difficult situation for where I stand and sit as an artist when I look at the power of the media, the influence it is having on all of us, and the crazy kind of leadership that some of us are looking at by what people are taking in daily. We have started to reward bad behavior. We have started to look less and less at the good that people do and value good people less and less. So when you talk to me about power, influence, and leadership, Sis right here said change. Most folks don't want to change. Huh. A woman probably would have sat on this panel and is probably sitting here right now in spirit. C. Dolores Tucker. C. Dolores Tucker, I'll never forget watching her image on TV by herself with a sign. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but I can hear her saying, if you do not check these images, you will do damage to my children for generations to come. They called her everything but a crazy old lady and told her to go home. See, Dolores Tucker was right then, and we are living it now. Power, influence, leadership, we better start to really pay attention, because we are not in a good place on any three of those levels. But that's just Sheryl.
Well, I don't think it's just Sheryl. I don't think it's just Sheryl, but because I've got a little liberty here, let's dig a little deeper, because I think, Sheryl, you bring up a great point. What do we do as mothers, as grandmothers, as daughters, as women of influence in the assignments that we have? Danita, would you just speak to that really?
As it relates to like the responsibility of our
Even
community.
as we sit here in our various job assignments,
You know, because of the world that we're living in now, I do believe that our responsibility has to be stepped up. I really think, first of all, families are going to have to be more cohesive more than ever, because we are going to need to be that unit that defines our values, our vision, our sense of identity and character for ourselves as well as for our children. Because what's happening is there's so much that is happening in the media and in the world around you. You can drive down the street and there's billboards and there's messages. Teach your children media literacy, how to take in media, responsible media, even if they're going to watch something that may be destructive. Have a conversation about it, because then that way you're able to say, okay, why is this not positive? Why is this negative? What do you feel about this? Engage them in conversation and in some intellectual dialogue. Because then what you can do, the world's not going to stop going to hell in a handbasket, because it's just a part of even the evolution of what's happening, but we don't have to go with it. We can choose to be that positive force that's on the other side. And whether that's your family, whether that's media, whether that's health and fitness, we have to take a different measure of my weakest. It was the vision on the inside of me. It was the purpose on the inside of me that gave me the will to live, because my destiny said you're not finished. And so I want you to know it's not elusive. The very thing I talked about was the very thing I had to live myself. So I know that if you can impart on you, you will be more than a conqueror.
Amen.
Yeah, I do want to make a comment. I will say, as well, think about power and influence in a business environment. I mean, I really do operate on a couple of different levels. First, there's the Gloria Reese part of AT&T. I so much admire what she does for divas. But there's also efforts like the corporate efforts that we have at AT&T through what we call Project Inspire. And where we have said, we believe, and one of them had shared a stat with me, which I found astounding. And the stat was, we're business people, so we do everything by the numbers, right? I was thinking about how my day starts with what is the number we need to achieve today? And my day ends with, what did we achieve the numbers that we need to achieve? But one of the numbers that they shared with me was, over the 2 hours that we're kind of together, the pre and the post, there are going to be 260 kids who are going to drop out of high school. I'm going to say it again, 260. Yeah. It was a right and a responsibility to do both. I also think that when you talk about power and influence, I go back to my comment about we don't just start. I mean, there's probably, 150 people or so in the room? What if, maybe so, I'm kind of guessing. So what if each of us just decided in the next year we were going to influence the life of one person? Just one. We're just going to stop one kid from dropping out of school. Which is out of grandma's bosom. That's exactly right. It had $5 in it when I went away to school, and I carry a handkerchief because I do carry a handkerchief because it is symbolic of a difference that $5
thing. When I went away to college, Winston-Salem State University. When I went away to college, I had $4 more than my roommate. And I had $5. But the $5. I don't believe in I believe. I believe in I plan, and I do. So thank you for letting me know.
No problem. Very good time, insightful. Thank you. Before we go to our next question, how important were mentors along your career pathways? In what ways did they support you, and how are you mentoring younger women? Okay? How important were mentors along your career?
Advisors now, and there are 2 of them, and I go to them each and every time I decide to do something different or make a move in a legal career. In terms of mentoring, I chose to go there to volunteer 2 to 3 days a week to work with the students there because it was so important to me, the impact that I had